Call the meeting to order for legislative session 2018-27 for the Wicomico County Council, December 4th, 2018. Those that like to stand and join us in the Lord's Prayer and Pledge of Allegiance, please do. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Before we begin approval of the minutes, I would like to take the time to recognize some people in the audience. We have the ever-popular delegate Carl Anderton in the back there. We also have Sheriff Lewis. Thank you for being here, Sheriff, and Chief Deputy Baker and Captain Richardson. Glad to have you gentlemen here tonight. We also have Dr. Hanlon, an excellent superintendent of Wicomico County Schools. We have Joan Smith, who's the president of Wicomico County Education Association. Joan, thanks for being here. We also have Carolyn Hall, past president of the Salisbury City Council. Glad to have you here. She also happens to run the household of the gentleman to the far left here. I've never been able to get a straight answer out of her when I asked her which was the more difficult task. Glad to have you here, Carolyn. We also have Matt Kramer, former council administrator. Thank you very much, Matt. And Bo McAllister, a clerk of court-elect. Thank you, Bo. Excuse me?
He was sworn in.
Have you been sworn in? Okay, congratulations. Clerk of court, Bo McAllister. Elected officials. Our health director, Lori Brewster, is also here. Lori, thank you very much for being here. This time, I'd like to entertain a motion from council to approve the legislative minutes from November 20th, 2018.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Any corrections, discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried. Minutes are approved. Entertain a motion to approve the open work session minutes from November 20th, 2018 in reference to the Delmarva Shorebirds update.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried. Minutes are approved. Entertain a motion to approve the open work session minutes from November 20th, 2018 in reference to the MS4 permit update.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried. Minutes are approved. At this time now, I would like to entertain comments from the current council members, if we'd like. Councilman Matt Holloway, how about if we start with you?
I told Councilman John Hall I would start since I'm the most long-winded of all the council members up here. It's been a great 8 years serving on the county council. I really want to thank the voters of Wicomico County for showing their support and electing me these 2 terms. Of course, I want to thank the current and previous councils for their support and friendship over these years, and the staff. And also Matt Kramer in the back of the room. He really acted like a mentor for many years, especially when I did my 2 terms as president. And I found his guidance just some of the best that I could have asked for. So this has been a great chapter in my life, and I'm really looking forward to the next chapter. So thank you very much.
Any other council comments?
I have 27 pages that I'd like to share with you. Good evening. The last 7 years have been an adventure. I'd like to thank the current council for the hours and effort they have dedicated to addressing the many difficult and complex issues that have come before us during the past 4 years. It has not been easy. The first council I sat on had 3 strong women: Gail Barkovich, Reese Sample Hughes, and my mentor, Stevie Prettyman. Things have changed. That council was dedicated to the entire community and served with honor. We were all included in decision-making and worked towards common goals with the administration. While there may be differences of opinion between legislative and administrative branches of our government, the goal should always be to work together for the benefit of our community. This community has always been important to my wife and me. We have been involved in our own businesses and raised our family here. Our goal has been what we want for our community: safety, education, and services at a fair rate. We want our citizens, especially our children, to have the opportunity to succeed. And to do that, we need to have a vision for the future. Our new council will have the opportunity to set goals and make an effort to legislate in the best interest of the entire county. Leadership of the council needs to share information with all of the council and the administration, not in an adversarial manner, but in the spirit of cooperation. As a council member, if you think you have a better plan, please share it. Don't be an obstructionist just because a few people in your district can't see the advantage of investing in the future for everyone. We need to take advantage of the opportunities presented to the council that could benefit the financial future of our county when they are presented or offered. It's easy to say no. To say yes requires vision, imagination, and confidence in the future. Every person who sits at this table represents every citizen in the county, not just their districts, not special interests, not just their political party. Have the courage to do the right thing. Have the courage to lead. Our future depends upon it. I'd like to thank the county executive, Mr. Bob Culver, and the county executive for the open door dialogue and access to the various departments. I'm proud of the relationships and friends I've made with the health department, the Wicomico County School Administration, the Board of Education, the library, Warwick Community College, the sheriff, the Tri-County Council, and the advice shared with me by those departments and organizations. I'm proud of all the departments, and thank you for your service. I am especially proud of the Wicomico County Airport, of course, and the improvements and progress being made with funding from the help of this council. Look up at the council and say, "Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you, gentlemen." The airport has the potential of bringing 200 to 400 good-paying jobs as progress progresses. I'd like to thank Mr. Matt Creamer for the guidance when I first joined the council in 2011. I'd also like to thank Laura Hurley and Lynn Sandy for all of your support with my council duties. There are so many of you here tonight who have supported and helped me on this journey. Thank you. If I start naming names, I might leave someone out, and I don't want to do that. So I want to thank you all of you for your help. Thank you for your friendship. I'd like to thank all the citizens of Wicomico County for allowing me to serve on the county council. It has truly been an honor and a privilege.
Council comments. Larry?
Yes. First, I'd like to thank God, my family, my friends, and the voters for allowing me to be here again tonight. It's been an honor and a pleasure to serve the citizens of Wicomico County for the last 4 years, and it's going to be an honor to serve with them again, to serve for the citizens. I would like to thank Councilman John Hall and Matt Holloway for their dedicated service to the citizens of Wicomico County. It's been an honor to have them as friends and to serve with them, and you will be missed. I'd like to congratulate council members John Cannon, Ernie Davis, Mark Kilmer, Joe Holloway on their reelection to the county council. I'd also like to congratulate Bill McCain and Josh Hastings for their election to the county council, and I look forward to serving with each and every one of them. I think I'd be remiss if I didn't congratulate Bob Culver for his reelection to the county council. So congratulations, Mr. Culver. I look forward to working with you in your office. And Bo McAllister, Clerk of Court, congratulations, since you're going to be swearing us in a few minutes. So, thank you, everyone, for being here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, I too want to say thank you to the voters for their support and to my family for their support over the past 4 years and the coming 4 years. And congratulations to all the fellow council members, Larry and John and Ernie and Joe, and to Bob and to Bo and to everybody who won elections, and looking forward to serving with our new council members, Josh and Bill. But especially, right now I want to thank my colleague to my left here, Mr. Hall. It's been great sitting next to you, and we don't always agree, but I think we always get along, and I look forward to you telling me why I'm wrong, whether that's in public or in private. And I'm going to miss that. So please, you have my phone number, and when I know you'll be watching us, and so feel free to call me and keep telling me what I'm doing wrong when I'm doing it. I value your advice, even if we may not see eye to eye on everything. But we do see eye to eye on a lot of stuff too. So and I did, speaking of the airport. It is a great airport. Went out there yesterday and toured it, and I thought of you during that whole time. You spent so much time working on that, so thank you for that service.
Thank you.
Thank you for all your service. And Matt, I appreciate it. I used to sit next to you, but you moved away, and I don't get to talk to you as much anymore on the council. But it's been good getting to know you. I've appreciated all that you've had to say and all the wisdom you've had from your experience on the council and your perspective as as a farmer and all that you're doing for the county, not just on the council, but all the many things you're involved in. It's amazing how much Matt Holloway does in a day, it seems. I don't know how you do it, but I admire your leadership, both politically and in your personal life. So thank you for your service, and I've enjoyed serving with you. So thank you.
Thank you.
I'd like to thank all the voters who had enough faith to put me back in office again. I'd like to thank my family for support, and all the councilmen. For those who don't know, not only am I the only minority up here, but I'm the only Democrat. But when we had meetings and so forth, that never came into play as far as Republican or Democrat. We all sat down and made decisions to the betterment of the county. And I'd like to thank John Hall. He was like a mentor to me, because when I got elected, they didn't give me this orientation book. I just got it. So, and he was real good as far as helping me and training me in what I needed to do, when to do it. And of course, Matt, who sat right beside me, I could just lean over and ask him. And plus, he lived right around the corner from me, so I could always ask questions. I mean, working with this council was a real good experience. I learned a lot, and I look forward to the next 4 years. Thank you.
Well, I would think this would get easier. This is my fourth time through this. And it's always a pleasure to thank everybody for the support they've had from me over the past 12 years. The citizens that keeps voting for me, I appreciate that. The staff I work with, either the executive's office or the county council's office, and the lady sitting in the second row there, my wife, who's my sounding board when I go home from a meeting. She'll say, calm down, it'll be okay. But it's been a pleasure. I look forward to the next 4 years, and everybody up here has mentioned all the names so far tonight, so I won't go through all that again. But just a reflection of how time flies. This young man's on the end. Can you stand up?
Oh, yeah.
When I ran the first time, that's Larry's son. He was about knee-high. So things do change, and he's a good-looking young man, and he's got a nice sister, and we're glad to have Larry and the rest of the council up here. John, it's been a pleasure serving with you.
Same, Joe. I feel the same, Joe.
Matt, hate to see you go, but it's going to be one Holloway up here now. The girl won't get her name mixed up. So, and with Mark and Larry and John, Bill, glad to have you back. Josh, glad to see you come on to council. I think we're going to have a good council. So thanks a lot, everybody. Thank you.
I would like to thank everybody for being here tonight. I have to admit, when I first came in, I thought maybe we had an animal ordinance or because of the crowd. Truly, thank everybody for being here tonight. It's great to have everyone so interested. I would like to thank, first of all, I do have to thank my wife, Laurie Cannon. She stood there when I had to go to meetings. She would sometimes come to some of the meetings. I have to give her credit for that. There were many, many nights, however, when she had to defer, and I would come home at 9:30 at night. And she'd spent the entire night, whether it was a Friday or whether it was a Tuesday, by herself. She also helped very much in the campaign, and I appreciate all those efforts and everything she's done. Not only that, but she had to sit through 10 to 15 so readings of my speeches before I managed to work them down from 30 minutes to 5 minutes. So you can imagine the horror there. I'd like to thank my immediate family as well. My sister, Sharon DeShiel, is out in the hallway taking care of my grandson, John. Sharon's a former Miss Maryland, which I like to remind everybody because I know that upsets her. Not only that, but here tonight there's also my son, Michael Cannon, and his wife, Megan, their daughter, Taylor Cannon, and again, my grandson, John Cannon, who is out in the hall with Sharon. I'd like to thank you all for your support over these past 4 years, and especially during this last campaign period. Many other individuals and organizations I would just simply like to thank for their support and for their confidence in entrusting me with the interests of Wicomico County, because it is very important, and I do take it seriously, and I appreciate the fact that I have that opportunity to do so again. Last of all, I would truly like to thank all of my fellow council members here. I've had an excellent 4 years. I mean, an absolute great time, and we've been doing a lot of good work at the same time. Whether we're agreeing on events, whether we're disagreeing on events, we've still had an excellent time. And again, done a lot of great work over the last 4 years. Also would like to thank the staff, who we could not do this without. This is Mrs. Hurley, Mrs. Sandy, Mr. Taylor, Mr. Roser, and Mr. Hitchens, who is over in the audience. Without the staff, I tell you, it's very difficult. We're not full-time here. We're only part-time. And there's many issues that come to the table that we have to have background immediately. And these are the people around here who help bring that full circle for each of the council members. So it has made it a very, very excellent 4 years for us as a whole. In addition, I'd like to have a special thanks for Councilman Matt Holloway at large and Councilman John Hall with District 4. You guys have both been great. I'd like to thank you not only on my behalf, but on behalf of Wicomico County for everything that both of you have done for the county, your contributions and your strong leadership. Very important. You've both been terribly beneficial over the last 4 years with all of your input, and I do appreciate that. Looking forward, I do welcome the new council members who will be sitting with us, two excellent additions to the county council. We have, of course, Councilman-elect Bill McCain, who will be at large representative, and we have Councilman-elect Josh Hastings, who will be the District 4 representative. Congratulations, gentlemen, and we're very much looking forward to you being on this council in the next 4 years. Again, as I said, it's been a great 4 years. I'm looking forward to the next 4 years being even greater for us and for Wicomico County. So, thank you very much. Now, what we will do, we will have to have a 5-minute recess, if you would bear with us, because the council has to get up. We have to get situated so that we can be sworn in by the new clerk of the court, Mr. Bo McAllister. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, I think we're ready to reconvene. Ladies and gentlemen, I do believe we are ready to convene. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Tonight is our swearing in of the new Wicomico County Council. Mr. Bo McAllister, our new clerk of court, will have the council members take the oath of office.
Thank you. Please raise your right hands. Do you, John Cannon, Bill McCain, Ernie Davis, Mark Kilmer, Larry Dodd, Josh Hastings, Joe Holloway, swear or affirm that you will support the Constitution of the United States and that you will be faithful and bear true allegiance to the state of Maryland and support the Constitution and laws thereof, and that you will, to the best of your skill and judgment, diligently and faithfully, without partiality or prejudice, execute the office of Wicomico County Council according to the Constitution and laws of this state. I'm going to have you each sign the test book, and then you'll receive your commissions.
After you sign the attest book, if you can just please stand back in front of the council table. Ladies and gentlemen, this is your new Wicomico County Council for 2018-2022. I will announce each individual council member by name. If there's a family member or significant other here that would like to place a Wicomico County pen on their jacket, this is the time to do that. Starting with John T. Cannon. Mr. Cannon is representing Wicomico County as an at-large member. He originally started serving on Wicomico, on the county council in 2006. He did leave for a short period of time and then returned in 2014 and is now serving his third term in office. Next, we have William R. McCain. Mr. McCain is also representing Wicomico County as an at-large member. He originally started serving on the Wicomico County Council in 2006. He also left for a short period of time and is now returning to serve his second term in office. Gentlemen, after you receive your pen, if you could just have a seat at the council table. Next, we have Ernest F. Davis. Mr. Davis is representing District Number 1, and he is serving his second consecutive term in office. Next is Mark Kilmer. Mark Kilmer is representing District Number 2, and he is serving his second term in office. Next, we have Larry W. Dodd. Mr. Dodd is representing District Number 3. He originally started serving on the Wicomico County Council in 2002. He did leave for a short period of time, but returned to office in 2014 and is now serving his third term in office. Mr. Josh Hastings. Mr. Hastings is representing District Number 4, and this is his first term in office. And we have Mr. Joe Holloway. Mr. Holloway is representing District Number 5. He has been serving on the Wicomico County Council since 2006, and he is now serving his fourth consecutive term in office. Congratulations again, Council.
Thank you. Mr. Clerk of the Court, thank you very much.
Thank you, Buddy.
Mrs. Hurley?
Okay. The first order of business this evening as a new council is to elect a president and a vice president. Pursuant to Section 303 of the Wicomico County Charter, which states, at its first meeting in December of each year, the council shall elect from among its members by a vote of the majority of the total number of council members established by this charter, a president and a vice president. The president, or in his absence, the vice president, shall establish the agenda and preside at all meetings. On all questions before the county, the president and vice president shall have and may exercise the vote to which each is entitled as a council member. Tonight is the selection of a president and a vice president. Are there any nominations for council president?
I'd like to nominate Mr. John Cannon for president.
Are there any other nominations?
I'd like to nominate Bill McCain for president.
Okay, we have two nominations. We'll do it by roll call votes, starting on the vote for Mr. John Cannon. Starting with, Bill McCain.
I vote yay for Mr. Cannon.
Ernie?
Yay.
Joe?
Yes.
Larry?
Yes.
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 I could vote yes.
It appears as though we have a majority for Mr. John T. Cannon to be president of the Wicomico County Council.
Thank you.
Mr. President, would you like to call for the nomination of vice president?
Yes, I would. Thank you very much. At this time, we open the floor for nominations for Vice President of the Wicomico County Council.
I'd like to nominate Larry Dodd for vice president of the Wicomico County Council.
We have a nomination for Larry Dodd as Vice President of the Wicomico County Council. Are there any other nominations?
In keeping a campaign promise and supporting a person I've supported since 2006, I would like to support my friend and nominate my friend Bill McCain for good bipartisan leadership.
We have Bill McCain, who has been nominated also as Vice President, for Vice President of Wicomico County Council. Are there any other nominations? Okay, that closes the nominations. We will go first with Mr. Dodd as nominated. All those in favor of Councilman or Vice President Dodd as Vice President of the Wicomico County Council? We'll start to my left with Councilman Hastings.
Support.
Support. Councilman Keller.
Support.
Larry will save you for last. Councilman McCain.
Opposed.
Councilman Davis.
Opposed.
Councilman Holloway.
Yes.
The chair votes yes. Councilman Vice President Dodd.
Yes.
With all the votes being taken, I would like to ask you to congratulate me for the Vice President of the Wicomico County Council, Larry Dodd. Mrs. Hurley?
Okay, gentlemen, next on the agenda is the discussion of the veto of Legislative Bill 2018-11 and charter provision for council's reconsideration, which is Section 411D. Legislative Bill 2018-11 pertains to multi-year contracts and leases. It was introduced on October the 18th. Council then held a public hearing and adopted the bill on November the 6th. The legislation was then presented to the county executive on November the 7th, and he has 21 days in which to return the bill back to the county council or with his approval or veto. The bill was returned to the council office on November the 28th with the county executive's veto. Per Charter Section 411D, which states, upon veto, the county executive shall provide in writing a statement of the reasons for the veto. The veto message shall be entered in the journal of the county council, and not later than at its next legislative session day, the county council may reconsider the bill. If upon reconsideration, at least 5 members of the county council vote in the affirmative, the bill shall become law. With council's permission, I would like to enter the veto message in the journal.
Thank you, Ms. Hurley. You ready? We okay?
Yes.
Okay. The chair would like to entertain a motion to reconsider Legislative Bill 2018-11.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Discussion.
So we passed this, I believe, to kind of codify what, some language in the charter that talks about multi-year contracts. Could we have our legal counsel kind of elaborate on that for perhaps the new members' benefit and the public's benefit?
Well, what this does is this makes all contracts above a certain amount, which happens to be $50,000, and that amount is the potential cost to the county if a contract is a multi-year contract through the full term, whatever that might be, in number of years, regardless of whether the contract provides in there that it's subject to an appropriation in each of those future years. So this is going to require council approval. It can be waived. The county executive can ask that that be waived if he cares to, and the council goes along with it. And that's really the purpose of it, and I was asked to draft such legislation, and I did.
Is this common in other counties?
Well, other counties have a variety of, I can read some if you want me to, but most counties have some provision for review of contracts by council, contracts and leases both, by council. Sometimes it's based on an amount, over a certain amount. Sometimes it's based on a certain type of contract. But yes, I mean, it's not unusual to see this in Maryland counties.
Any other questions, discussion? Seeing none, I would entertain a motion to vote on Legislative Bill 2018-11 as originally adopted. We'll do that by roll call. We'll start out with Councilman McCain,
I vote for it as originally adopted.
Councilman Davis,
For.
Councilman Holloway,
I vote for it.
Councilman Hastings,
Support.
Councilman Kilmer,
Aye.
Councilman Dodd,
Aye.
and the chair votes aye. Let the record show that's unanimous.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, the next 2 items on the agenda pertain to appointment to the Wicomico County Social Services Advisory Board. In accordance with Charter Section 315, the county executive is to submit appointments to boards or commissions to council for confirmation at a legislative session. The Director of Administration has submitted the name of James Holbrook to the Wicomico County Social Services Advisory Board. The Social Services Advisory Board selects a director for the Department of Social Services and advise the director and state director as to the local application of state policies and procedures. Members are to be well informed on local departmental activities and to communicate to residents of the county information as to the objectives, policies, programs, and problems of social services and public assistance administration. Resolution number 136, 2018 is confirming the appointment of James Holbrook to the Wicomico County Social Services Advisory Board.
Entertain a motion from council to approve Resolution 136, 2018.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Discussion.
I'll I just think this is an excellent appointment. I believe he's in the audience. so,
Mr. Holbrook is in the audience.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for being here.
so, that's-
All those in favor of Resolution 136, 2018, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried. Resolution passes. Thank you again, Mr. Holbrook.
Next is Resolution Number 137, 2018, approving a lease of certain real property located at 705 North Salisbury Boulevard, owned by E.S. Atkins LLC for a term of 5 years for the operation of a dental clinic and other programs. And we have Mr. Wayne Strasburg, Director of Administration, here if there are any questions, and Lori Brewster is also here.
Thank you. Entertain a motion to approve Resolution 137-2018.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
And discussion. Seeing none. All those in favor of Resolution 137, 2018, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried. Resolution passes.
Next is Resolution Number 138, 2018, authorizing a loan from the general fund balance to the Wicomico County Nursing Home in the amount of $489,320, and approving a promissory note between Wicomico County, Maryland, and the Wicomico County Nursing Home. And we do have Mr. Wayne Strasburg here for this one as well.
Thank you, Ms. Hurley. Entertain a motion from council to approve Resolution 138, 2018.
So moved.
Second. Second. Any discussion?
Could we have Wayne come up?
Mr. Strasburg, if you could, thank you. Can somebody help me on what page on the PDF file this is?
61.
61?
I've got 59 on mine.
59.
Close enough. That'll work. Thanks.
10 off.
Good evening.
Good evening.
So this is a no-interest loan to the nursing home, and what are the repayment terms? I mean, is it when it gets the money, it'll repay? I mean,
Well, the reason that I suggested, Mark, that it be a no-interest loan is that really it's the county loaning money
Yeah,
to itself.
Yeah.
So we consider it an interest rate, but
fair enough.
if it's intergovernmental lending of funds or forwarding of funds, I personally didn't think that accumulation of interest made sense. In terms of the repayment, I felt it was best to structure it as a demand loan, so that at the point in time that the county executive and the county council felt that it should or could be repaid, that we could call the loan.
Any other questions? How does this show up in next year's budget? As what type of line item?
Well, it wouldn't show up in the budget, John. It would be recorded in the balance sheet.
Okay.
As an accounts receivable for the general fund and accounts payable by the nursing home. Had we charged interest, if we were charging interest, then we would have to show the interest cost on the nursing home's budget.
You know, the reason I asked is I was wondering how it would be, I mean, how somebody from the outside would look at the county's budget and see what our reserves were and what they weren't.
Right.
And it may be a little bit misleading for them to think that our reserves are one number when actually we have more reserves, but it's on a loan basis. Maybe you have to think about it.
We could footnote it in the budget.
That's, yeah. I believe
I
it,
could certainly
yeah.
put a footnote in the budget that would
Okay.
lead someone to the balance sheet, because normally you wouldn't think to go there unless you were an accountant, CPA, so we
Right.
can,
Well, it's probably the first time we've done a loan. Well, no, that's not really true.
first time I've been here that we've
Yeah.
done a loan.
The
It's
airport
forward
was a loan.
funded, but we haven't formalized it as a loan.
Okay.
So this came out of contingency? Is that-
No, this is really coming straight out of our reserve
Out of
funds,
the
not
reserve fund.
contingency.
We've done a loan before, but it was the opposite direction. We borrowed money from the landfill one time to, we were back into recession, so.
When when we
And I think we did that interest-free.
when we
Yeah.
dropped off the
Yeah.
cliff, yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Okay.
That's true, that's true.
Okay. Any other questions? Seeing none. All those in favor of Resolution 138, 2018, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Resolution passes. Thank you, Wayne.
Thank you, much appreciated.
Mr. President, that's all I have.
Thank you, Ms. Hurley. At this time, we open the floor for public comments. If you have any comments you'd like to make, please come to the podium, state your name and your county of residence, and whatever your concerns might be. Delegate. Good evening. You're still there. You're doing good.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Good evening, everyone. All right, very good. All right. My name's Carl Anderson, Jr., and I am extremely blessed to serve Wicomico County in the Maryland General Assembly. And I wanted to congratulate you on the opportunity of a lifetime. You get to serve your neighbors. To me, outside of my wife and kids, there's nothing cooler I've done in my life. Outside of answering the phone with a neighbor who has an issue, that we're in a position to help them out. Please, new folks, don't take that lightly. I know you won't. I know both of you guys very well. I wanted to make sure, again, with you guys coming on, that you have my my cell phone number real quick. We have 5 delegates and 2 senators that represent parts of Wicomico County, and I'm humbled to have the opportunity to be the county chair in Annapolis, which means all local legislation we work together on. And so during the 90-day session in Annapolis, you'll hear from me more than you probably want to. I will call and text right from the House floor when there's a bill that I need input on that you have expertise in. So my cell phone number is 443-359-1335. Is that right? Yes, 443-359-1335. And so please, you know, I'll make sure that I have your contact info, because when we're on the House floor, things are very hectic, and if there's something, pertinent to the county, I want to be able to make sure that we have contact, so we have a flow of information. So we're doing the best we can to do the right thing for Wicomico County and Annapolis. But again, congratulations. I look forward to working with and hanging out with each and every one of you.
Thank you, Delegate. Any other public comments?
How does one follow Carl Anderton? But as a resident of Wicomico County, an educator, and president of Wicomico County Education Association, WCEA, congratulations, County Executive Carver, Mr. President Cannon, Mr. Vice President, Mr. Dodd, and all of the councilmen. WCEA looks forward to working with you in planning the future of Wicomico County. WCEA seeks to advance public school education opportunities that will bring greater success, recognition, and a praiseworthy reputation to our county. Please remember, our door is always open. Moving into the period of budget planning, I know that you will agree that the well-being of our schools is an investment priority that promises continued success, financial, and community development. Last year, our leaders wisely chose to follow a path to grow Wicomico County Public Schools. There's still much to do, but at the heart of the task, we need to remember that our students, for whom educators make learning happen every day, are the priority. Thank you for your time and for all that you do for our community.
Thank you, Ms. Smith. Any other public comments? Seeing none, that concludes public comments. Council comments.
I'd like to congratulate President Cannon again, and I'd like to thank everyone for the support on my position. I would like to thank everyone that showed up tonight. It looks like half of them cleared out, but it's good to see you guys still here. Ms. Smith, like I've said before, the Education Association is always welcome to meet with us and discuss your concerns, and we look forward to working with you this year. But thank you for that. Yesterday I heard of the passing of a friend and longtime member of the Wicomico County Farm and Home Show in the county fair, which it is now, and he was also an employee of the county. Alan Gravener, I'd like you all to keep him and his family in your prayers. He was a great guy. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice President Dodd. And council comments.
Yeah, I've got a couple
Yes.
to make. I want to thank all the people that provided support during the campaign season, and to all the folks that came out and voted. Looking forward to working with the council. I especially want to thank some good friends of mine that are here this evening. They worked with us over the last several months, and particularly want to thank my wife Teresa, It was really nice having her here and having her part of the ceremony. And I look forward to working with my fellow council members, and we're not going to agree on everything. That's fine. That's healthy. Good debate leads to good decisions. And, I think we're always going to put Wicomico County's best interest first at hand. And, I can assure you as a council representative at large that I'm always going to put county over politics. It's time to get to work. I look forward to it. We just finished campaigning over the past year, and we've clearly heard the issues and the concerns of our citizens. So, along those lines, I would like to make a request from each council member, and that I would like to request each council member to submit to Ms. Hurley prior to our next meeting your top 3 goals. I think that would be a good first step for us to submit our goals. If you have more than 3, great, but your top 3, and that can begin the process of establishing a long-term strategic plan for Wicomico County. It's an important first step, and I want to see us to begin that process and to work with the executive office to formalize that plan, particularly with budget season, the budget season upcoming. This plan would state our vision, our goals, and our strategies as to how we're going to accomplish those goals. And so it'd be a great roadmap for the next 4 years. So with that said, once again, I want to thank everyone. I look forward to representing the citizens of Wicomico County and working with my fellow council folks.
Thank you, Councilman McKean. Any other council comments? Councilman Hastings.
First of all, I want to thank my one of my longtime friends, Sarah Myers, is here. She helped out in my campaign, and she's just been, we've been friends for far too long. And I also had my treasurer, Dr. Harlan Eagle, was also here, and my brother. But I also want to recognize the 2 most important women in my life. That's my mother, Leanne, and my better half, Melissa Massey. So thank you for being here. I want to also make sure that, I want to thank all of our current council folks, our leadership. We're going to have a great 4 years. We're going to do some good things together, and I'm going to bring some good, lively discussion. And last thing I'll say, all day from 8 a.m., James Yamakawa has been outside trying to recognize Matthew Williams, who was lynched in 1931 this day, and was lynched right out here in the courtyard in the space. So I'd like to acknowledge that we can't move forward as a county until we look back to the past. So I'd like to thank him and all the folks who continue to make that an issue. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other council comments? Under presidential comments, it's nice to have, I can't say 2 new guys because he's not a new guy down at the end there. I've worked with him before, but both of you guys, very good start, excellent recommendations. I really appreciate everything you're going to bring to the table, obviously. I'd like to thank everybody as well for being here tonight, and would also like to compliment everybody on their elections and their re-elections, and thank the council personally for the confidence that you've demonstrated in allowing me the opportunity to represent the council and Wicomico County as president of the council for another year. That being said, entertain a motion to adjourn from legislative session to go into open work sessions, followed by a closed work session pursuant to the general provisions of Article Section 3-305B1 of the Maryland Code to discuss appointment and performance evaluation of appointees over whom this council has jurisdiction. The reason for doing so in closed session being to promote full and frank discussion of those matters and to respect the privacy of those persons. A closing statement for such closed session has been provided to the council administrator. That is the motion.
So moved.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Meeting is adjourned. We now go into open work session. First item on the agenda is a new Land Park Landfill Cell 9 construction project. Mr. Baker, how are you? How are you? Good to see you. Good to see you.
Good evening, everyone. Hello, new members.
Good evening.
I'm Dallas Baker. I'm the Director of Public Works for the county. And
Mark Whitelock, Deputy Director of Public Works for the county.
Tom Ramsey, I am a principal at Geosyntec Consultants, the engineer supporting the county landfill.
so we're here to talk about the proposed change order for the current Cell 9 construction. When the project first went out to bid, we had a certain amount of select fill we were going to need for the construction of the earthen berms that contain the refuse and the leachate collection systems. In the process of actually constructing the berms, as we were going along, we discovered, okay, we're getting close to filling out or using up all the allotted fill, and we still have a ways to go before those berms are at the height they need to be. So we went back and took a look at the calculations and discovered that there was not, in fact, not enough fill listed on the bid form. So we had enough fill shown on the plans to build the berms, but in the actual calculation for what the contractor was bidding on, the number was incorrect on that form. So what you see before you is a change order to reflect that bid form, brings up that fill amount that we need up to what needs to get done to build it as designed.
You said you had enough, but what's the timeline? When will you run out if you don't get this? But I'm not saying you won't. But
In terms of, well, I guess I'm not understanding.
you were saying you didn't have enough in the bid and we're gonna run out.
Yeah, exactly.
When will we run out?
We're about, how much further off are we? I want to say about a third or so.
Yeah, we're within about 1/3 of the contract amount at this point, and if the change order is not approved, then the cell cannot be completed at this point.
And so we have money in the unreserved fund balance for solid waste. As you know, we're an enterprise fund. The money that we make and don't use gets put into what amounts to a savings account, and we're going to use that savings balance to fund this additional cost. And one thing I'd like to stress is this cost was always part of the project. This isn't something that, oh, we have to add something that was not originally included. It was simply a quantity calculation. When a lot of these soil calcs are done on the computer, and so they draw a line around the area that they're calculating, and the computer comes up with that number. And this was simply the line that was drawn not quite in the correct spot. And that's how that quantity came up with.
So we're basically, it's $902,000, is that the number we're talking about?
Correct.
But that's an additional than what you were planning on before, is that right? I mean, I know we have the money, but.
Yeah, that would be an addition, that's.
In addition to what we've already approved.
Yeah, exactly, but it's not additional work beyond what the plans show. The plans haven't been changed, it's just the quantity count. Yes.
So how does that affect our savings account, for lack of a better term, for future construction on the current footprint of the landfill?
I believe right now our current savings is around 4.5.
A little higher than that.
Yeah, it might be a.
We were at 14 before we moved into cell construction
And then the land purchases.
and land purchases.
Yeah, I mean, we've got 5 million or more.
So do you think, so do you think we have enough money for future cell construction on the current, footprint? Or will this, mess up kind of the overall financial,
Yeah, so
long-term financial planning?
we're projecting roughly 5 years of life out of Cell 9 construction, so we're at about 5 million now, and then between now and when we need to build again, we'll have time to replenish those savings. So, we don't anticipate it being, this change being, having an impact on future cell construction.
So I guess what I'm asking is, we're not gonna need to raise rates over the next 5 years to replenish this, to make up this $900,000 to have money for the next cell construction? You don't project that?
I'll say we won't need to raise rates because of this change order.
Okay. Okay, all right, fair enough.
If we decide to do something crazy out there, but yeah, because of this change order, no.
Okay, that's fair.
Any questions from anyone?
questions?
No. Where will we go from here, Mrs. Hurley?
This request does require a public hearing. It's actually going to require an amendment to the CIP as well as a legislative bill to transfer the funds. So we would need to schedule a public hearing
Okay.
and
All right.
prepare legislation.
Okay. I'm assuming we would schedule that for the next meeting, or would we schedule that for January?
Did you want to do both of them at the same time? I mean, we can advertise both the amendment to the
Yes.
CIP as well as the public hearing on the bill at the same time.
That'd be good.
Okay.
So again,
So
would we
you're
have time on
looking
the
at-
18th, or should we put it in the?
No, you have to introduce the legislation first.
Okay.
Then you would hold the public hearing. So you're looking at the public hearing being sometime, most likely in January.
What I'm really getting at, I guess, more so than that, I guess that the introduction, is it simple enough where the introduction could be done in the next meeting in December, or will that
I
be January?
believe so.
Okay. All right. Any other questions? All right, gentlemen. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is the Conley Mill land donation. Wayne is, oh, there he is. Hey, Weston, how are you? Didn't see. I knew you were here somewhere.
I'm sorry, Schultz.
Had to sit in the back with all your
I see
fan
you.
club here. Weston Young, Assistant Director of Administration, and pardon my voice, I'm battling a head cold at the moment. So an update on the Connolly Mill property. The first item, if council has no objections, I'm going to talk about insurance, then follow up with the surface mining permit, and some updates from there. So we received insurance quotes and forwarded them to your office on November 7th. Two of the larger companies that deal with pollution liability insurance submitted quotes. That was Beasley and XL. We requested quotes on 3 scenarios. All were 10-year terms, as discussed in previous work sessions. The 3 scenarios were a $5 million each loss limit and a $5 million total loss limit. That was scenario 1. Scenario 2 was a $5 million each loss and a $10 million total loss. And then scenario 3 was a $10 million each loss limit with a $10 million total loss limit. Beasley ultimately offers the lower pricing. However, they had a condition that they would not cover contamination from abandoned materials. And that's sort of the purpose of why we went after this environmental insurance. And we had our broker reach back out to them about trying to rephrase because their competitor did not have such conditions. XL, the other company, they had a condition as well, but it was that they would not be liable for if we excavated the soil and then we put it as daily cover at the landfill, we would then at some point have to go back and dig that soil out because of some issue with the soil. I guess the situation where that would matter is if it goes into a landfill we didn't control. Where we control the landfill, it would be going to our landfill. So if there was a cost to move it around, which we don't anticipate whatsoever, it would be our folks doing it, not an outside entity. So with the conditions, and it should be, the quote should be provided in your brief book, and I can answer some questions on that. Our proposal is to go with XL. We would do a one-time payment of $105,000. That would give a 10-year coverage, a total loss limit of $5 million, and a deductible of $250,000. Lastly, in terms of time frame, the XL application is mostly filled out, and they say it's a 3-day turnaround. But, we shouldn't pay that cost if we're not going to have the property in hand. So we're kind of waiting to see what council ultimately decides. Are there any questions on insurance or?
We talked before about the size of the land, it's 235 acres, but the partial part that's of interest is the northern part.
Correct.
Did you separate that in this quote? Did you tell them that we only wanted to do partial of this?
Yes, yeah, and the viewpoint from the two, according to the broker, the viewpoint of the two agencies was that the larger forested area that we weren't as interested in covering had far less liability than the actual two pits, so.
Less expensive?
No.
Okay.
No.
I think that's it for now. I'd like to think of something, if
Sure.
somebody else has got something in the meantime.
Okay, an update on the surface mining permit. Monday, November 19th, roughly 2 weeks ago, the surface mining county exemption permit was submitted to the state. Doing some research on the county exemption, we are exempt from the surface mining code, section 15-834. However, we need to have adopted, quote, reclamation standards applying to the activities and the standards that are approved by the department, end quote. That's basically, they want to know what we're doing, how we're mining, and then how we plan to leave the site when we're done. The submittal should have been included in your brief book. It would have taken up a decent amount of space. We've heard back from the Soil Conservation District already, and they've had no comments. Soil Mining Division of MDE has stated they usually request 30 days for review. They are reviewing this, and they're scheduling a site visit with solid waste staff to see and discuss operations. They want a site visit as part of this approval process. We're looking at roughly 2 weeks from now before we hear back. So that is something, again, it's a exemption permit. We wouldn't have to do the same level of detail that a private entity would. But we still need to show we're following standard operating and reclamation principles. With that, on my memo, I dated September 24th, that's in your brief book, and we talked about in a previous work session. When we were putting together the application for surface mining, we got some estimated numbers from the pits, and so more accurate than my estimate. I had a conservative estimate of 1.3 million cubic yards of material, and that was used in that memo, specifically on page 2 and then into page 3. The design and showing the drawings as showed in your brief book show that we actually have closer to 2 million cubic yards of material from digging within the existing pit footprints. So we have significantly more material. What that does is it raises the estimated soil value from $13 million to $20 million, and it raises the estimated useful life, or I'll say years of soil, from 8.3 years to 12.8 years, which are all better for us in terms of operating. I did some, let's see, where are we? The one other thing I wanted to mention on that memo, if you read through that, is that the soil needs part of the memo will need some revision, as with the Potts property off the table, we have approximately 5 years of soil remaining. So we're still in that need for soil. Yes, sir.
So with that extra soil, part of the, the trade-off, the value of the soil versus what we'd have to spend for it.
Yes.
Purchase of dump trucks, that's, I imagine, a fixed cost no matter how much soil there is. It would just be fuel cost and staff cost would go up somewhat, but probably marginally.
What I calculated is that total value, so buying the trucks, the staff, and the fuel cost to run that for now 12.8 years is closer to 7.5 million.
Okay.
So if you take the 7.5 million and the pollution liability from, and I'll touch on that because there's one other element that hasn't been discussed previously. In our previous discussions, the conversation has always been this property was viewed as a donation to the county. The owners are requesting $35,000 effectively reimbursing them for the studies they performed that helped show the site was clean, which completed the Phase 2. If you recall, we only did a limited Phase 2. Among other expenses, a document itemizing this request was received yesterday and should have been provided to you yesterday as well. While their total figure exceeds $35,000 in terms of what they've put into it, they're asking for $35,000. So as a reminder, trying to put it all in perspective, the approximately 235-acre property appraises for a little over $1 million, has an estimated $20 million worth of soil. So if we took the updated cost to mine over 12.8 years, as Councilman Kilmer was mentioning, I put that at $7.5 million. The pollution liability that we recommended at $105,000, and if you think a more restrictive policy is needed, I'll gladly adjust that. And the requested $35,000, it still gives a net value of over $13 million to the county. Over, well,
12,
that's
13 years. 12 years, 13 years.
Yeah, 12.8, yeah, 13 years. So in essence, we still wish to pursue the acquisition of this property. The value makes sense, the soil makes sense, and the proximity to Henry Parker and future park uses, although that doesn't seem to be the priority, that does make sense. We still have the intention of transferring the program open space rights from the West Metro Corps and putting it on this property, effectively allowing us to part with an unused and generally unusable property and put it back on the tax rolls. With the surface mining exemption permit basically complete and the environmental insurance policy lined up, we would request the council consider accepting this property. And with that, I'll be glad to answer any other questions.
Any questions?
Mr. Cannon, one point of note I need to make, our company actually did an appraisal on this property, just for public notice. I need to make that known.
Thank you, Councilman McCain. The insurance, the 100,000, 10 years, you say, I think it
Yes.
is, right? What is your opinion? Do you think we need this type of insurance?
It doesn't hurt. The price, I think, still falls within like the benefit that we've calculated. I think it would address the concerns of others. From the studying we've done, we think the risk is low, but again, we're talking, $105,000 that could potentially save us significant dollars should we hit something. I mean, what we intend to do with the site outside of digging is going to be low impact, I imagine, with public input like what we're doing with Pirates Wharf, trying to get citizens saying what they want to see with the rest of that property. It could be, those ponds, those pits, we could reform those, reshape those, and get even more soil out of it, but that could be 12 years down the road. Again, I don't think it hurts, and I think the money, the overall value, it makes sense to insure it in some form.
Yeah, I think that's a necessary evil to have a property of this size, and conducting mining operations, you're going to have a good policy to protect yourself from unknowns.
Yes, and I guess our thought was what we're digging is going to the landfill, and that's where we would send just about everything unless it is, radioactive or highly flammable, then we would need some sort of mitigation. But
There's, I want to thank you for going into this. And I know I was kind of instigated a lot of this.
You did, which is good. It's good. We're glad
Steve's
you did.
smiling a little bit. He ain't got a big grin on his face, but, and I agree that we need to take this property. I really do. Potts is off the table now. I was sitting here thinking, we do a lot of things in this county, road work, different things that we could use dirt, the soil for. One thing I did want to mention to you, though, is, there's a lot of concern with the neighbors about traffic on this property, people misusing the property. has there been any thoughts to trying to fence this property? I know they say, well, the sheriff's department will respond, but it's kind of like somebody's responding to, you know, a noise complaint. When they get there, they're gone, or the noise isn't
Sure.
there anymore. So, and was there any stipulations from the insurance company that the pits had to be fenced or anything like that, or?
They did not have any stipulations. I do think it needs to be seriously considered. It, like our current active borrow pit, it's a construction site, and you don't want kids or even adults around those sites if they're not familiar with it, not certain that, okay, that water is 35 feet deep.
You have equipment there too.
Correct,
also.
correct. And we want to protect our equipment as well. So one of the things with the sheriff's office is this property has been in the city of Salisbury. And as deputies informed me, it wasn't until recently that the city had a four-wheel drive truck that could even get back there to deal with the complaints they were getting. So we're going to work closely with the sheriff's office and make sure that we have adequate coverage. For our current borrow pit, we've been using DNR, and they've been a great asset in terms of helping us keep people off that site because they're operating at slightly different hours than we are. So yeah, I'm sure it's going to be a learning experience, and we're going to have to adapt. As you know, as I've been told by the owners of the property, they'll put up a barrier, and there's just another way around it. So yeah, we'll need to figure out how's the best way of being vigilant. But yeah, that is still a concern.
And Weston, I think that'll get better too once the property's being constantly used and the presence is there and
Correct.
we get signs up and gates and things.
And we tend to find after one or two people are cited, word gets out pretty fast that we're not playing around.
Are we going to de-annex this property?
I don't think so. I mean, we have other county property that's in city limits. So the intention is to
So
keep
is
it
the
as
city
is.
police going to still enforce the law on this property?
They have the full right to because it's in the city. But I think we're going to rely on our deputies to
And you
protect our
mentioned
assets.
DNR, was that Natural Resources Police?
Yes.
Okay. Since there's, the last group that spoke in front of us, they were talking about shooting, possibly hunting. I think it'd be good if they patrolled it, if we worked with them.
Correct.
Any other questions?
Well, I just wanted to say, I want to thank you for your diligence in looking this up, and this whole process was about protecting the citizens from here on out with this, and I think this is probably going to be a good move if we can get to the end of the journey.
Yes.
So,
Thank you.
Speaking of the city, this isn't, I think I've asked you this before, just to double check. This isn't incompatible with any sort of city code for us to do this, anything like that. We're not going to suddenly find that, wait a sec, the city has an ordinance that would prevent this.
My, speaking with planning and zoning, the city and county are exempt from zoning laws. So as long as it stays in the county's hands, what we're doing is okay.
Well, that works out.
But we've spoken with the city on several occasions about this property.
Okay.
You know, sort of even as a backup if something were to happen and we were not able to get it, it's still beneficial from a park standpoint. And they own the trail system next to Henry Parker. So it could be an expansion of that as a backup plan, but.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, I want to echo what Joe said. I mean, I think I was the most against this at the beginning, and Joe maybe second, or maybe we switched, but you've done a lot to allay our concerns, and I think that things are heading in the right direction, and I mean, I really appreciate all the work you've done, and it's clearly you've done a lot, so I appreciate that, so thank you for.
Sure,
for that.
and we'll be glad to keep you updated whenever you'd like more. And for those of you that have been out to the site, it's very beautiful, and I think you know, if you get a chance or want a chance, we can arrange that and let you see some of the nicer aspects of it.
Are there going to be any problems with the shooting range? Do they have any stray bullets from that?
Not to my knowledge. They run a pretty good operation there.
I was
So
reading the Hines report, and they were talking about lead, and so I was wondering how far the bullets went.
Yeah, they have barriers. Historically, talking to some of our older deputies, they used to not have barriers, and they used to go through the trail shooting at pop-up targets. So there was activity outside what is currently protected. but not now. There were complaints by some of the citizen groups, I think it was Shadow Hills that's adjacent to the property, that there's shooting by individuals at night, non-shooting range, police shots, and that goes back to being vigilant and enforcing our property.
And if they hear it, they need to call the sheriff's office.
Correct.
Any other questions? Yeah, Weston, you've done a great job, as usual. You leave very few questions unanswered.
I try.
The reason that we scheduled this tonight, knowing that we're also going to have December 18th to make a decision, was because I think we wanted to make sure we had final assurances in place so that there would be no surprises come December 18th, that the council could pretty much, I think, recognize where we want to go with this project as a whole. The issues that came up, of course, as have been discussed tonight, one is the insurance, one is the environmental, the other one is the mining permit, and the fourth was the $35,000. So I would want to ask council to make sure that, if you have any other concerns regarding these, this would be the time to bring it forward so that we can vet it properly and allow Mr. Young the opportunity to explain anything else that
I'm looking for
concerns
it
might
now.
have.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I'm looking for it now, but I thought I saw the letter where it was 46,000, not 35. Is that-
Yeah, so as I tried to explain, their total did break 46,000, but they're only asking for 35.
Okay, thank you. All right, we're good.
All right, any other questions?
The other, one more thing. Taxes, are they going to be prorated as a normal settlement, like when we go to settlement?
They should be prorated.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, part of their itemized request that totaled 46,000 was some of the real estate taxes. So that will help cover some of those.
Okay. And we'll have this on for the 18th?
Yes.
Okay, thank you for your
Thank
time.
you, Mr. Young. Thank you.
Thank you, Weston, good job.
Entertain a motion to adjourn from open work session so that we may go into closed session.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
For those who are in the audience, it's a closed session, so it has to be closed. And Mr. Roser will show you where we're going to for a reception. If you're here for that reception, you'd like to stay for the reception. Mr. Kramer, you're welcome to join us, most certainly.
For the reception, the closed session.
For the reception.
For the reception.
He was getting ready to sit down.
Yeah, closed session.